And last Friday, they did a pretty fun segment, I thought, with Kenny Omega and Don Callis and the Jungle Boy. Jungle Boy didn't really talk too much. He kind of came out there. He had the hair was flowing. He does look a little bit bigger, so you could tell he's lifting. He's lifting, but he's still a pretty small guy. And I think all he said to Kenny was, "You talk too much," and then all hell broke loose. But what did you think about that segment? And then I also want to ask you a question about kind of like what the future of this angle is going to be.
I thought the angle was fine. I thought the typical, heel, the heel champion, looking past a young kid and he's just going to go right through him and on to his next challenge. And, then they get in a scrap and the kid gets the advantage and says the heel flying, that kind of stuff. It was, they did everything. That segment, the old, Ric Flair, Barry Windham stuff in Florida, various different ones. But, it was, compared to anything else in that show, I thought it was, one of the highlights. But, like, Jungle Boy still needs some fire, man. Like, he looks great looking kid, great hair, all that stuff. But, like, he needs some, like some fire. And, Omega needs to kind of, like, he's so over the top in AEW compared to I seen him in Impact. Like, if he would just be kind of like Impact Kenny and kind of like be a little more serious with what he does, I think it would have came off better. So, it was fine. It was better than a lot of stuff they've been doing. So,
all right. So Jack a little bit. You've booked him before. I'm sure you've had many a conversation with him about, things that could work in the ring for him because of his personality and his look and all those things. You mentioned fire, and this is something that you've told me about ever since you have watched him. It's like, these are, he can do better at X, Y, and Z, or he's really great at these things. And maybe this is the one thing that he can improve on. But you've mentioned fire consistently. That's been a consistent thing.
Yeah.
What is it in his personality? Is he just a chill dude, or is he kind of one of those guys? Because I know, if I go in front of a crowd or if I go and speak publicly, my instinct is to go, okay, I need to bring it down and I need to go slow. And because I don't want to make a mistake, or I don't want to, say something wrong or chuckle uncomfortably. So I pull it down. I just kind of bring it. And so sometimes I have to actually think, okay, I am speaking and I can't be boring, so that's kind of how I do it. And I was wondering what you think his mentality, or kind of how he thinks about it, when it comes to this moment where he's, it's him and Kenny Omega, the champion.
Yeah.
He's about to, this is the build to a match that they're really pushing for Saturday, not this upcoming weekend, but the next weekend. And they're putting a lot of their marbles behind this match to help, to draw, to whatever, to advance storylines. And Jungle Boy is the guy. Like, there is a crowd now. They love this dude. So what like, him a little bit. What do you think it is that kind of stops him from going to 11?
Well, I think in this particular issue, like, no one's given the proper direction. You got to fire up. Like, just that match 2 weeks ago now. When he won a tag match with him and Christian, right? They beat Matt Hardy in a private party, or was it a private party they beat? Whoever. And, he got this finisher, the snare trap submission, and they won. And I swear, like, he just like, did we really do it? Like, or he had no reaction. Like, it was like, he just stared at Christian, like, for his next direction. And it's like, Jack, jump up, throw your fist in the air, turn around to that big old crowd behind you, those fans in those bleacher seats, and yell and scream at them and just get them going. But like, when you just have no reaction, the fans are cheering, but they could be blowing there. Now they're just kind of giving you a nice clap, right? So.
But who does that stuff for him is Luchasaurus and Marco Stunt, and they weren't there.
He needs to find that he's going to need that, or he's just going to be right there in the middle. So, in my opinion, and before I used to always talk to him, like, I remember when I was at AEPW and I booked him, one of his first matches, he comes out and he's people like he's a good looking kid, and people just want to cheer for him, right? He's that underdog. You know, you feel he's an underdog.
That battle royal in San Francisco.
Yeah, that could have been even greater, but that's a whole nother story.
Well, I mean, but you know, he's still. People just naturally wanted him to win, right? It wasn't even.
There was this natural connection, and a lot of people didn't even know he was Luke Perry's kid, right? So, and once I saw that at APW, like, you know, he was just doing whatever. But then when I started booking APW again at time, I was like, let's do something with this kid. And we kept, you know, he would lose, but he'd always lose and get one step closer, and all that. That's how he kind of got over at APW. But one of the first matches, he comes out, and I watched him, and just like, no fire. People cheering for me, and just no fire. He gets in the ring. He does a lot of this great stuff. He comes back, and I ask him, like, I go, you're thinking way too much out there. I mean, you're actually thinking before you're even going out as you're going to your match. He's like, yeah, because he's one of those kids and one of those people that, you know, they would they go over everything in the match, and he was stressed out about, you know, forgetting something, and you can tell like it's in his head going through the curtain, going out of the curtain, and it's just like, you know, like that's why a lot of people should just go out there, and sometimes they just gotta work on stuff and just, you know, but he needs to get that fire. If he doesn't get that fire, I don't see him getting out past this mid card stuff. And
I think he just turned 24.
Yeah, he's very young, but
he's still very young. But like even in person now, you know, I literally met him one time, and it was, you know, it was not that long after his father had passed away. So I know he was that was, you know, not the best time in the world to meet him. He seems like he's a very reserved person in general, though.
Yeah, he's very laid back. He's very Southern California cool. You know what I mean? Like, all right, you know, like, but just gotta find it somewhere. You know, Jeff Cobb was like that too. Like Jeff Cobb was going out there and he did the moves and he put the hang loose sign up and like, but eventually he figured it out. So hopefully Jungle Boy will figure it out. And I hope he does. 'Cause I like that kid. He's a really, really, really good kid, and he should be a big star. And I'm sure we're gonna talk about the match next with Kenny Omega on the June 26th. I think it's gonna be a really good match. I think they're gonna have a great one. But that I kind of feel is gonna happen. I already know. I'm confident it's gonna happen. But it's the follow up, right? That is the key with Jungle Boy. He's not gonna win. Doesn't need a win. But how do they follow up from him losing to keep his momentum going? That's the key. So we'll see.
Okay, hang on to that for a second, because I want to ask you a question. You can put your booking cap on, but that I mentioned. I said San Francisco. It's actually Daly City. It was at the Cow Palace. It was the second Cow Palace show, right? That APW did like recently.
Yes.
And so memorable night for me, because I actually did get to meet Luke Perry and shake his hand, and I forgot what I said, but I think he just told me like 3 times, like, I just love wrestling. that was like his answer for like all my questions.
Yeah.
Okay, so booking cap on. Now, we know this. They're going to have this match. I think Big Dave mentioned it on Wrestling Observer Radio. He said, you know, 30 years ago, basically you're having a 60-minute draw. Today, more than likely not going to do that. I mean, maybe they'll surprise us, but I don't think that that's going to be the plan. And like you said, Jungle Boy is going to have to lose the match. How would you book it to where Jungle Boy gets over in losing in front of? It's not going to be a very large crowd, unfortunately, because they're not going to be on Wednesday. But you know, there's people are gonna be watching this match. People are looking to see how this match is gonna turn out. People want to see Jungle Boy do more, be a bigger star. Omega's the most polarizing guy in wrestling, so there's gonna be eyeballs on this match. How would you book the result?
What is the time limit for world title matches in AEW?
I think it's 60.
Is it 60?
Because I was thinking like, oh, they could do like a 20-minute time limit draw, but I'm like, no, it's the title match. I think it's 60.
Or TV time remaining.
That could be interesting.
They could do that, and it goes to a draw. But I mean, what's next for Omega? Let's see what's up. Well, first we got to figure out what's next for Omega, Who is he currently feuding with beyond this match he has coming up, Jungle Boy?
So
No one, right? Orange Cassidy is the one he still has an issue with.
Cassidy's the one that they're kind of pushing now.
Mm-hmm.
You always have Hangman Page kind of lurking in the shadows. The one that I want, that I keep, obviously Mox, you know, congrats to John and Renee. They just had their daughter. Mox is always going to be there. He hasn't got his return match yet. The one that I'm very interested in, which is Eddie Kingston. And Eddie Kingston tweeted today because AEW's running, I think, the Arthur Ashe Stadium on like 3 weeks after All Out. So I would imagine those are the guys. You know, Miro is the TNT champion, so theoretically he's in the ball game as well.
But immediately with the mocking video, the mockumentary video that Kenny Omega produced last week, right? Or Nakazawa produced. It's Orange Cassidy, right? So obviously Jungle Boy. If there's nothing really on the horizon for Mega, I would say Jungle Boy could do a TV time limit match and have him hang on and build to a pay-per-view match or a Fighter Fest show, whatever they're doing in July. But with OC, in the mix, I can see happening what happened with the pay-per-view, some interference by Dawn or the Good Brothers. I can see OC getting involved. It could be a lot of shenanigans. That's what I feel could happen. But if you're gonna push Jungle Boy, if you want to do something with him, a draw would work. I've done that before with someone. When I first started booking for APW a long time ago, I had a young kid named Dylan Drake. He was basically a rookie, but he was like this good, tall, good-looking kid that had this great connection with the fans because he was our ring announcer, but he was doing that because he didn't want to be doing other stuff. He wanted to be part of the show while he was training, and he just had this natural charisma, and that's what I did with him. I had him go to draw, 30-minute draw with Oliver John. All of a sudden, people are like, oh shit, like.
Where would people have seen Dylan? Is it the Monday Night Raw after WrestleMania? In 31.
Yeah, he was the one that got murdered by
Lesnar.
Brock Lesnar. He was the security guard, but yeah. Unfortunately, Dylan didn't did anything. He got a back injury, didn't get the chance to do more, but he was a good talent, and so that's why I kind of did with him. And it's the old like Sting Flair stuff, right? Which was big for me. So if there wasn't anything going on if there wasn't anything going on for Omega, I would do something like that with, I would do a tri-limit draw, or maybe you still do the interference and it still goes down to a draw, right? You can kind of break it up with some smoke and mirror stuff, but yeah, I mean, they can also just do a match and Omega wins, and at the end, people, you have Jungle Boy at the end, like people soaking in the cheers. I don't know how many people are gonna be alive, but do something like that too. But it's all follow up. Like, what does he do next? Like, is he going to be back on Dark and teaming Luchasaurus? Is he going to be, that kind of stuff? Is like, you got to kind of keep the momentum going. Even though if he loses, he should be winning matches and building back way up the card, getting a TV title shot maybe. Or I still think they might as well do a short little title win with the Jurassic. Actually, that might be the next step. Because they're, his partner, him and Luchasaurus, they could be going after the Young Bucks soon after this. Though I think Mox and the Young Bucks still have that issue too. So I don't know. That's why I don't think I have a lot of concern over Jungle Boy past this. If they're gonna, if they have a plan for him.